So I don't know about you guys, but I actually still think mobile's a fad and it's going to go away. But you know, I'm told I need to work on it anyway. So I actually have a really easy job today. I'm here to talk about a great integration that was created by two kind of smart individuals or groups. One is the folks at Appurify, which I'll talk about in a sec, and the other is Pat Meenan in WebPageTest. And I just kind of said, hey, it'll be great if you guys connected your tools together, and they did, and I get to talk about it, so awesome. So, you know, as Courtney pointed out, we have this challenge today with mobile performance. We have a general lack of tools around mobile web development as compared to desktop, and specifically around mobile testing. And we've made strides in that path. We have WebPageTest that I was a part of that helps us do some tests on real mobile devices, but it uses the embedded browser on iOS and Android, which are not exactly the same as the real browser. And then we have sort of good manual debugging tools today, where you have the ability to kind of hook up your Safari browser into your device and debug stuff using web developer tools. But you need to have the device, and it's manual. You can't automate it, especially for things like continuous deployment or continuous integration. So we have a lot of these gaps. And I think this integration kind of helps us take it up to the next level. So first, let me introduce a little bit about Appurify. So Appurify, it's a startup from the Valley. And what they have is remote access to mobile devices. So this is the Appurify portal, and I'll just kind of give a quick view. You can use all sorts of apps or URLs, and you can run tests on them. If I look at the CNN app on an iPhone here, you'll see we've had a variety of tests that will run over time, and you see all sorts of stats overall at like dashboard level around pass-fail ratio tests and around memory usage and CPU usage. And you can go off and you can run a test of, you know, in this case it is an app, and you can capture all sorts of information. And one of the cool things is that you can choose a device. So there's a long list of devices. Right now the focus is on iOS. They have Android coming up. You can just choose a network condition. And they have some simulations here for different tests. So you can run these types of tests and gather a fair bit of information on your test. And you can integrate this into your dev environment. Now, a little bit more relevant to most of the audience here is doing this on websites, on URLs. So you can do something very similar to what I just showed. So again, you can run web tests. And then, again, you can run a test, get all sorts of, choose your devices, see some of the dashboards and views that you have, and also later on, take a look at the results of individual tests. And you know, if you kind of look at network path, you can see all sorts of information. You can see HAR charts, and you can actually see these HAR charts from a UI web view within an app, which is pretty cool. So this is the Appurify platform, and I encourage you to kind of check it out and see if it works for you. But what the folks at Appurify did was they worked with Pat Meenan, and they integrated that platform into WebPageTest. So this is appurify.webpagetest.org. It's up there for you to use. In fact, it was tweeted out yesterday. And what it allows you to do, this is WebPageTest, the same one you kind of know and love, except, you know, if you look at the drop-down here, you're going to notice various mobile devices. So again, right now it's iOS, and you can choose different specific iOS devices. And we're going to be adding iPad, or they're going to be adding iPad mini and iPad and Android devices to this over the next month or two. So you can choose a device, go off, let's say, and I'm going to say iPhone, I don't know, 5S, and you can choose the Chrome or Safari browser, type in, you know, if I'm picking on CNN, I'm just going to keep that trend here, and go off and run a test. Now, one of the catches is that right now the tests are fairly slow. It takes about 5 minutes to complete a test. There's work being done now, and by the end of the month, we expect that to be around a minute and a half to complete a test, which is still not lightning fast, but there's some ramp-up time to set up stuff on the devices. So I'm going to cheat here and just go off to a complete result. And again, this is not necessarily unusual to what you're used to seeing. This is a waterfall chart similar to what you'd see in WebPageTest, except this ran on a real device with the real browser, in this case Safari. And there are some cool indicators here. So you can notice that there's a little top app installer prompt that you don't see if you're doing any sort of simulated, or if you're using Chrome, or if you're not running it in that real browser. You have a lot of rich data here in the waterfall charts. You can see the TCP. You can grab the TCP dump to actually kind of look at the network activity. You can look at the timeline from DevTools. So all these things that you are that we know and love from WebPageTest. And we have that variety. So this test is run on Safari, and I can maybe take a look at this one, which is on Safari on iOS 7. I'm not actually going to start comparing waterfall charts. They're fairly similar for this specific site. Or you can do Chrome. And Chrome is sort of interesting to see. First of all, of course, we have the different Chrome of Chrome, like the different address bar and this type of information. But also you don't have that drop down. And the waterfall charts are, again, actually fairly similar, although there's a little bit of a quirk here that was captured in Chrome. I didn't really dig into these specific details, but the news here is just the ability to run these tests on the real devices and not needing to own all of these permutations on all of these devices yourself. You can just use these devices from Appurify that are in the cloud and available for you. So just a couple more notes here. First of all, if I look, so this is the CNN website on the iPad, and what I have here is a similar test that I ran on WebPageTest using Chrome and emulating a mobile browser, so kind of faking the user agent, shrinking the window size to different parameters. And you can see there are differences, and again, it doesn't really matter which one is wrong or right, but if I look here, I see, for instance, JavaScript block some of the images. Steve mentioned some of this yesterday. The images get blocked off, while if I look at the Safari equivalent and I dig in, you're going to notice that a lot of these avatar JPEGs get downloaded here alongside the JavaScripts at the top. Well, over here, they get pushed down and they're further down. So it's not really about which one is right, but which one's not. It's more about just having that visual and actually knowing what your users are really experiencing. So the tool is out there for you to use. You go to appurify.webpagetest.org. You can try it out. I think the folks at Appurify allocate about 15 or so devices that are live and connected to this today. You'd also be able to hook it up to your private instances, and you can talk to the Appurify guys on that. They're going to be at the reception area on the leftmost end during lunch break if you want to dig into it. But the Appurify tool, the Appurify-webpagetest.org tool is just free to use. It's going to stay free to use for you on the page, and hopefully helps us build more mobile understanding. Thank you.